Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dychronic, your host here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Xur, his inventory, random rolls, my recommendations, and all that whatnot for June 26, 2020. What can I say? I guess I'm just ready for July, but it's June 26. Let's get into it. Firstly, he can be found on the EDZs, so head over to the Winding Cove, make your way on top of this little hill here, and at the edge here you'll be able to find the Xur in his regular location. Wow. I never realized how big well, never mind. Okay. I never realized how small this string was, I guess, you know. Like, you start talking about somebody and they just... This is a high overview of everything that he does have available in case this is all you cared about. Starting up with the weapon today, we have the Colony. If I can just hold on one second, let me just make it like this. We have the Colony today. It's a very special grenade launcher, probably one of the most unique weapons that Destiny's ever made. Its main perk, Insectoid Robot Grenades. The grenades are literally robots with legs on it. So you shoot the grenade, it hits the floor, the wall, the ceiling, sprouts legs, and then runs along the wall, the floor, the ceiling, towards the nearest target, which is actually really cool, and I wish they had more things like this and more things as imaginative as this. Not to say that Destiny is not imaginative, but this is just really imaginative. And on top of that, it also has Serve the Colony, which is basically auto-loading. Every time I read this, it's literally exactly auto-loading. I don't know why it has a special version of it. Is this not exactly the same as auto-loading? And it also has a catalyst, which I forget how to get. I think you get it from Crucible, but I forget exactly how to get it. I think you can complete it anywhere, but I don't know what it does. Honestly, this thing used to be really good in PvP. I think most people know how to combat it. They just kind of jump around, stay away from the walls and the ceilings, and it's usually not something that really affects people. The best way to use it is to shoot at somebody. They're going to start jumping, and you shoot at them while they're in the air, and they have the disadvantage of the accuracy in air. That's basically how you do it. And if it hits the target, they're usually one shot after that anyways. As for the Hunter exotic, today we have the young AHAMKARA'S Spine. Special perk here, Wish Dragon Teeth. Increase the Trip Mine Grenade duration and blast radius, and ability damage grants Trip Mine Grenade energy. The way that I've used this is going to be combine it with the Wave the Outlaw Explosive Proximity Knife. Throw the Trip Mine and that knife on the same spot, and if an enemy gets hit by both of them, they die. Because with this, the Trip Mine Grenades nearly do the entirety of someone's health, like 95%, and then that last little bit is taken by the knife, and of course that charges your grenade, and of course you can get your grenade more often. As far as the roll goes, primary and recovery, always good for PvP. Secondary and strength is always good for that little combo I told you about with that explosive knife. Considering that this does recharge your grenade, you're going to need your melees a little bit more often. I would like to see more in discipline, but I guess from what I just said, I guess that's okay. But yeah, I would say probably an above average roll synergy for this specific exotic for an averaging exotic that does in fact have an ornament. It makes it look very fun. Ooh. I'm basically trying Envious Touch with like everything now, but that is nice. Well, it's not as nice with some of the other things, but you know, that's nice. Up next for the Titan exotic, we have these SYNTHOCEPS, which I will immediately put the ornament on because god damn, it's gross without the ornament. But with this, it looks pretty cool. I love any of these sieved out armor pieces or weapons. It's just a lot of fun. If you've never heard of the SYNTHOCEPS, it's a very good exotic in my opinion. Its biotic enhancement perk increases the melee lunge range, which is very good for PvP. It surprises a lot of people by how far you can lunge and improves your melee and super damage while you're surrounded. That gives you 50% more melee and 50% more super while you're surrounded. And surrounded is 2 people in PvP and 3 people in PvE. In PvE, the best way to use this is going to be that extra super damage, and in the higher nightfalls like the Master and Grandmaster nightfalls, this definitely has some efficacy because extra super damage is something you're going to sorely need. And for PvP, that extra lunge range is going to be your best friend, and everything else is just icing on the cake. As far as the roll goes, a primary and recovery is always good to have. Very good for PvP. Secondary and intellect, very good for what I just mentioned with the super damage for PvE. Personally, I would like to see a little bit more in mobility or more in strength, but it's not usually a big deal with this. It's usually all about that melee lunge range or that extra super damage. So overall, pretty great roll for a pretty great exotic. Just as long as you're using the ornament, because without it, it's, ugh. Yeah. And it looks even better on a male figure, by the way. It looks thicker and bigger, and you know, I'm not gonna finish that joke. Moving on to the Warlock exotic today, we have the Phoenix Protocol. One of my favorite exotics to use in Grandmaster Nightfalls. Pretty much the only thing I use in Grandmaster Nightfalls when I'm on my Warlock. It very specifically gives you super energy back for your Well of Radiance while getting kills and assists in your Well of Radiance. It no longer accepts your teammates' kills and assists, so it's just you they have nerfed this thing quite a few times. Now, the reason why I use it in Grandmaster Nightfalls is because having your well very often, and you're often parked in one spot for very long periods of times, is very, very useful, keeping you alive. In everything else, the Well of Radiance is just holding you back, forcing you to stay in one location. It's not usually something that I like to have outside of Reckoning. Overall, it's still great to have, don't get me wrong, the Well of Radiance that is, but I'd rather use Lunafaction boots to be able to get faster reloading or more range in those wells in the lower level stuff that you're not dying that often. And apparently it does actually have an ornament that I do not have. As far as the roll goes, Primary and Recovery is always nice to have, very specifically good for the Warlocks because they get their rifts back faster, and of course Intellect is a perfect roll to have on this for the fact that it's based on getting more super, so I would say an excellent roll for an excellent exotic. Outside of that, make sure you're picking up your 5 of Swords for the higher scoring Nightfalls and the other Nightfalls, picking up your Invitation of the Nine to get some powerful gear and lore, and of course picking up an exotic engram. Oh, you can actually use a cipher on this to get an extra one a week. Picking up these exotic engrams, guaranteeing you an exotic that you do not have from any of the world drops, and it will drop with a high stat roll. So I did want to mention something that I did not mention before, is that the Xur does in fact have the higher stat rolls of the 60 plus, meaning that his inventory is a lot better than he used to, but from what I've seen, the distribution is not super spiky. You can see here, yes, there are certain parts that are better than other parts, but they're not spiky like this exotic that I got here, where there's going to be levels like the Intellect that's at nearly the entire bottom, which is the perfect kind of things that you want. I'm not saying this roll is perfect or this exotic, but you want very, very spiky distributions for a lot of different builds. For example, oftentimes resilience and strength are not really needed whatsoever, and those can be put all the way down and put those points in other categories. Just something I wanted to mention, not really something that's very pertinent. Oh god, okay. But yeah, that's the end of it. That's the end of the Xur video. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions, concerns. Make sure you come check out my live stream. I have every single Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, which is going to be pretty much right after this releases. And on top of that, I do have a lot of other times that I stream as well, so come check that out. We're having a good, fun time, and I'm loving streaming these days, so come check it out. But yeah, that's the end of it. Hope you guys did enjoy. Oh, what? Did you see that? Oh, come on. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I can't believe that happened.